last time it locked up when I was playing around, YouTube stayed intact. I don't think it has this time. Yeah, it works. Yeah. Sorry for the break, these things happen. Hi Paula, welcome back, well, working again. Yeah, but for how long? I think, although this is techie stuff, I think I know what the problem is. I'm hardwired to my hub, which is powerful. So it's not the hub that's the problem. It's capable of easily coping with a live stream. But the cable that's connecting it is old hat. It's what's called a Cat5 cable, and it has a maximum bandwidth and data transfer rate. I do have a new Cat7 cable on order, which will get here prior to next time I do this. But I think that's what's happening, is that the sheer volume of data coming out from the laptop is just too much for that cable to be able to cope with. And some piece of software is detecting that and saying, I've had enough, I'm locking up. So that's what it is. Yeah, it is bright with the lights on, I said it would be. Yeah, you're back, we're here, no worries. It is a worry. You know, in this day and age, this should be, people do this on their phones, you know. Anyway, grr. Another plant somebody asked to see, or two. They are part of the Oncidium series growing in the home, which have got no updates. But somebody said, how are they doing since you repotted them? Well, as they're just inside the door, this one is shooting out all over the place, quite honestly. I'll try and go round, although as soon as I move near the camera, the plant goes in the dark. There's a new growth there. Coming round a bit, there's a new growth there. That's two. And then we have another little one there. And then coming round here, we have a bigger, stronger one off the same bulb. And then we have the first one that started to grow that, believe it or not, has got crinkled leaves. How dare you? That was probably a pause in hydration from the repot. And that's dry, that needs watering. And the other one, what was this one doing then? This is the Renaissance Coral, I think that's called. This is doing very little, but it has got a new growth that is pushing on. Roots have not started yet, they will follow soon, and this didn't have a bad root system, so I think this is going to get going. The main thing after a repot on an Oncidium is firstly get the timing right, or just before the new roots if you know your plant well. I took a guess on this. Naughty Roger. But basically, get the timing right, get those new roots into some nice fresh media, and they will take off. The problem you can get sometimes is you will actually start your pseudobulbs to shrivel because the repot puts the brakes on and can stop the hydration process for a while. If they don't go too far, they'll plump up again. So it's not the end of the world. And if you're repotting at the right time with the new growths coming out, the older pseudobulbs don't matter so much on the grounds they're not going to bloom again, not on Oncidium types. They've done it. They've done their bit. So they are storage organs. And if they're a little bit reduced in volume due to a bit of crinkling, it's not the end of the world. It's this bit, the new growth, that's important. So that's those two. That was easy. What else was I asked about? Oh, I was asked about the Dendrobium seedlings. Well, I'm not going to show them all, but as an example, that one put up quite a nice new growth. Yeah, they need a repot, really. They've been in those pots quite a bit before I got them and since I got them. We're working on those. Laelia anceps I'm not getting out, but the buds are starting to show now. We should get that soon. And somebody asked how my Dendrobium harveyanum is doing. Well, one bit got mounted, one bit got potted. So I lost the mother plant. Just went down really fast. Never know what went wrong with that. But what this one is the mounted version died, so that's gone. The potted version has grown one single new cane with 2 nice leaves and some roots. I doubt if I'll be able to lift that out, but we do have roots. Whoops. It's a left and a right thing with the camera. So this is now a reasonably established plant. I don't think it's going to go downhill. What I think it's going to do come the spring is start growing. But that's at least a year, 2 years I would say, before that gets back to where I was before. Slow process. Somebody asked how the Arengus, the only Arengus left, was doing. Well, it ain't doing well. The markings on the leaves are permanent. They're not going to disappear now. That pitting is not going to go. On this plant, I'm quite happy that that is cold damage, but that's not cold damage due to low temperatures. That's cold damage due to a dramatic change, because this pitting started way before autumn kicked in with the low night temperatures, and this is classed as intermediate. So I reckon this was being kept very warm for quite a long period of time, had acclimatized, and then suddenly came here, where relative to where that was being kept it was suddenly a lot colder, and it objected. It could also be light damage. We've had quite a bit of that this past season. We won't be having any of that next year, but it does have a new leaf, so it is starting to grow. That's my only Arengus left now. I thought about getting some more, and then I thought, well, they don't perform that well really. You know, they only bloom once a year. Some bloom twice, but not very often. And those blooms, highly fragrant, incredibly attractive. You're lucky if you get 3 weeks out of them. So yeah, I may not be restocking on the Arengus front. Let's put it that way. What else? Somebody said, how are your lousy Latorias doing? Well, in the main, they're still lousy Latorias, but some are picking up. Some I can get at, some are not so easy. And some, if I pick them up, they'll knock others on the floor. This one has aborted 3 new growths, 3 attempts. Now these little new growths here, during last season, are pathetic. This is the length the cane should be. It's actually got 2 buds on it, silly little thing, but we do have another attempt at a new growth. I can't remember which one this is. I think that is Aberrans or an Aberrans cross, probably. The one that a lot of people were interested in is the fact that I chose Rhodostictum, probably my all-time favourite, when it was going downhill fast. Well, that one's having a go because that's got 2 new growths, which is why I chose that to start filming in March. Yeah, because by March these have got 3 months to start pushing up and possibly open some leaves. So we'll be starting with a recovering plant. Yeah, can't have all good plants. Some of the others are hardly worth showing. This one split into 2 and just won't go. That was the latest new growth on the top piece. That's rotted, so that's failed. And the bottom piece has got no signs of activity at all. But there again, it's cold. These don't like the cold, so maybe it'll start growing. You remember me, I've always said never give up. Never give up on a Dendrobium. Trust me. I've had some that have looked dead for 6 months and then pulled back again. And yeah, the other one that I can easily get at, which I've got no name for, this one has managed a new growth and opened some leaves. And it, in amongst the moss, if you look, well, you won't be able to see it because of the light, but down in there, there's the base of quite a good root system on this one. So this one is just not doing anything simply because it's not happy and it's not warm enough. I think this one's going to pick up. Now, as far as the Latoria types are concerned, the instant I see a decent mature plant, of the larger bloomed varieties, I'll have it. But I'm not buying orchids this time of year. So me not buying orchids ceases when March gets here. And at that point I'll be looking out for, in some cases, replacements, and in some cases just trying new stuff. Now, while I've been gassing at the flipping camera and showing you plants, all sorts of things have gone off here, but I'm not ignoring you. Well, actually I am. How is the buds on the Dracula doing? I'll dig it out. I'm just going to pop up the comments because I've been being rude and ignoring people. Where did we get to? That was where I came back on again. How's the spike doing on the... Oh! I presume that means Rhinco stylus. It's being silly, but it is growing. What I mean by being silly is, if I can get it where you can see it, it's there. And it's pointing right across the basket instead of politely coming out over the side where it could cascade out. So I don't even know if that's going to be capable of working. I might have to sort of prop it up. But it hasn't blasted or anything. It's incredibly slow growing. God, that's heavy. But that's to go anyway. So although I'm interested in seeing the blooms again, I'm not that fussed. Right, let's have a look and see what else I've got. As I say, I've been ignoring the comments, so I do apologise. I'm on my phone. Well, jolly good for you. Are you with Virgin Media? Yes. That's why I've got such a powerful hub and an incredibly fast broadband. But if the signal coming from the laptop going to the hub is a poor quality old hat cable, I'm defeating the object. I'll fix it. What else have we got? Phone here too. I don't own a computer. What? Dimitri, come on. Quite honestly, if I could do everything that I do on a decent phone, I might invest in a decent phone. But I can't. Now that was quick, wasn't it? The thing is, I do know how to get it back again. It's just annoying that it breaks. And it'll be more annoying if YouTube actually keeps breaking this up into lots of videos. Right, I'm just trying to catch up with some comments here. As I said, I'm not really ignoring you. Yes, everybody's saying I'm back. Jolly good. Roger is back. Hi to everyone. You get in quick. Yeah, well, I'm practicing, aren't I? Which I shouldn't need to do. Right, now we get back to the Dracula. Oh, so it doesn't freeze before I can even get it out. We still have 3 buds progressing. And given the size of that one now, I really do not think we're going to blast. So all of those summer spikes, I believe, was nothing more than the combination of heat. The warmer you get, the more difficult it is to keep your relative humidity high. And I think that combination was just aborting the spikes. There's nothing wrong with the plant. The plant grows like a weed. Which, given my environment, you know, I mean, I've got new growths coming out, new leaves all over the place. The plant does well, but I've had aborted spikes for the whole of the summer. I think these three are going to make it. I forget how long they last, but if we could get more than one open at the same time, I would be over the moon, literally over the moon. So plant doing well and spikes progressing. This one's starting to swell up quite nicely now. So maybe we will have Dracula Bella blooms relatively early in the new year. Given the size of that bud now, I would say mid-January. Now, I know who's going to bet a fiver on it, but I don't think he's joining us today. He always bets a fiver on time relative things. Right, where are we then? Hi, Summer. Oh, Summer's here. Hello, hello. Is that new? I wish I could grow those here. Right, that was something else, a topic. Okay, I'm going to sidetrack now rather than being led by the comments. People who can only grow in the home, either because their environment outside is too harsh or they haven't got anywhere outside. There are people who live in apartments, flats, things where they might have a bit of a balcony, but they haven't got real access to growing conditions outside, even if their environment would allow them. Now, so we're talking about home growers. Now let's do a quick comparison between people who grow in the home and this place. How well can you control your environment compared with how well I can? And you're not going to like this, but you're better off than I am. Because out here, I get sun. When I get sun, I get heat. When I get heat, my humidity drops. Now in the home, you can stop that happening. You may have an unheated room for cooler growing types, perhaps with a north-facing window that never gets any direct sun. Northern hemisphere, obviously. Keep forgetting the people down under. I know a particular Lynn that's going to have a go at me about that. You're not forgotten, you're just the other side of the world. You're 24 hours travel time away. Never going to happen. But yeah, so the environment in the home is actually more controllable because you don't get the extreme lows, probably don't get the extreme highs. The bit that you struggle with most is humidity levels. And you can set up microclimates for those and deal with that by having humidity trays and getting evaporative water coming up around your plants. And cluster your plants together and create little communities. Perhaps get some other things like ferns in amongst them. So you've got more control than I have. And your light comes in from windows. It's a direct light, single direction in a lot of cases, unless you've got like a bay window or that sort of thing. And again, you can, in some cases, choose your window. If it's a south-facing window, brilliant in winter, you can let the sun in, because the sun will be low in the sky where I live. It's almost on the horizon. Just creeps up one side, goes across a bit and goes down. It's going to start going up. Once we come out the other end and get into New Year, we'll start seeing that sun rise. There's another warning for home growers too. Watch that sun, because as we get into February, you might not notice it, but its strength goes up. So any of your plants that are getting winter sun through the window, once you get to around the middle of February, that sun's getting strong, you'll burn. So go steady with your light, you know. But you have control, because you can then perhaps have a net curtain up or something, or some sort of shading, which you can increase or decrease. You know, I mean, I have to do that. I have to try and control light, and we did a bad job this year, didn't we? Cheers, Brian. I've been told it won't happen again. So what happened with my light was I changed my shade netting to the aluminium stuff because everybody said it's really good, it'll drop your temperatures a bit. But what I didn't realise is because it's a quality product, when it says 50% shading, it flipping well means it. And that was not enough on its own. So next year we will have my normal shading, and then over the top of it we'll have the aluminium shading as the sun gets stronger. So we'll have a double layer, and the aluminium shading can do its job reflecting some of the heat away, but the double layer will stop my flipping oncidiums going wishy-washy flipping pale yellow and looking awful. I'll see if I can find one. What's my worst one that I can get at? That's not a bad example. Of course, with the lights on, it's probably not going to show. Now, this growth here has normal coloured leaves. This growth here does not. This growth here was subject to too much light. Yeah? New growths coming, they won't be subject to too much light. Now, somebody's going to say, what is it? It is my Shelob Tolkien. So we won't be doing that next year. We'll control it. Oh, somebody said, has your Nelly Isla opened properly yet? Well, it's trying. It's done one. It's doing the second one now. And two petals and sepals have got a bit stuck together. We'll help them. If ever you help petals and sepals that seem to be stuck together, do it incredibly carefully or you'll tear them. They look awful. But we've still got some more to come, so it's open. It's looking good. And we haven't locked up yet, have we? Oh. When did I start? I started at around 4 o'clock, allowing for a couple of breaks. That's about 40 minutes. How many mouthfuls of wine have I had in 40 minutes? Who's counting? And therein lies, that's somebody just out of the corner of my eye, back to the comments again. The other thing you've got with a home environment, main problem, lack of humidity. Now if you live in a really hot country but don't have access to outside space and you're stuck indoors, chances are you've got air conditioning. You just as well breathe hot air all over the place, quite honestly, because the way that works is it sucks out the moisture out of the air. So your air conditioning will take your humidity away. Now it might keep you a bit cooler, so you think, right, well my humidity's a bit low, I'll get a humidifier. They'll fight. Your humidifier will try and humidify the air, and your air conditioning will try and stop it happening. And you end up spending a lot of money on power, electricity, and they'll just compete. So they're not best of ideas to have going at the same time. Right, I'm just going to pop back up and have a look at what comments I've just missed. They go so quick, you see. Yes, I came back quickly this time. It's, as I said, it's practice. Still can't decide if I want a Dracula. You need humidity, and you need to be able to keep your temperatures down. Perfect conditions for a Dracula: medium to lowish light, no direct sun, yeah, humidity up near 80+%, and a temperature that never rises above 21-22 degrees. Got that in your house somewhere, have you? Well, if you have, you can grow Draculas. If you haven't, they're not in their perfect world. Mine aren't in their perfect world. Their perfect world is now. I've got humidity of 70% and I'm at 20 degrees. They're liking that. That's not bad at all. In a few months' time, we will have a temperature of 27-28 degrees and I'll be struggling to keep 70% humidity, and they won't like that. Nor will my Masdevallias. Nice to find your channel, Roger. It's been around a while. Somebody said, how long's my channel been going? It's coming up to 4 years now. I'm definitely looking forward to that 10,000 subscribers mark. It's important to me. Have you looked at the video of the 2 pots method I shared on your group? Have you considered it for your cooler growers? I saw it, but I didn't watch it. I will look into it, Dimitri. Anything that Dimitri does, I have a look at. There's some people that grow quite a wide variety of orchids in difficult conditions, but they do well at it. So if you can do well in difficult conditions, I often wonder how well you do in better conditions. There's a thought. How's the Sunset Bangkok doing? It's still going. Doesn't matter how well it does. Oh, blimey. Somebody's got a good memory. Elizabeth Ann Bucklebury. How is that supposed to be watered? this time of year carefully. What was the first one? I've forgotten now. Blah blah. Oh God, what a memory. Oh, Bangkok Sunset. It's growing. It's putting out new leaves. It's done some new roots this year. What it hasn't done is bloomed. So it hasn't saved its bacon, basically. It's yay! Another brakelet mini brake, which I really could do without. Hopefully this new cable is going to sort that. Right, Elizabeth Ann Buckleberry, which used to be on a shelf, which today I would have refused to get because it would have meant using my back, but I can now reach it. It's a biggie. It's a bit of a monster, but at this point in time I've got new growths here, shiny new leaf. There's one down there, there's one hanging out the side here, there's another little one coming up here, and another one round here. So at the moment this is putting out new growths. What it hasn't done yet is bloomed on the previous set of new growths, which it ought to do. So I've got a feeling this is going to come into bloom soon. The older bulbs still look pretty plump in most cases. I've got a couple of, like this one here is badly desiccated. But you have to bear in mind, although that looks like a nice big specimen plant, it's not. I forget how many plants went in there, but it was pieces put in a bowl. But we should get some bloom spikes on this pretty soon. Care for Elizabeth Ann Buckleberry is difficult to establish because of its hybrid nature. Some bulbophyllums are real warm growers, right up in the, not intermediate, right up in the warm section. Most are intermediate and some are cool growers. And the bulbophyllum genus is vast. Although they're frantically trying to split it up as best they can into several sections, and those have got different names, not bulbophyllum. They're desperately trying to do that, so eventually we will not have a single genus, we'll probably have several. But nonetheless, it's not a difficult bulbophyllum to grow. Martin loves his humidifier. Well, we all have our moments, I suppose. You might consider investing in a swamp cooler. I looked into it, and yes and no. Yes, it would provide humidity at a dramatic rate, but then so does my hydrofogger. The difference is a swamp cooler stops working when the humidity gets to a reasonable level. It can only work when it's fed with dry air. So the only way I could get one of those to work would be to import air from the outside, which involves cutting holes in things and ducting and stuff. I did look into it and it was ruled a no-no, at which point I got the hydrofogger, which I can connect to a hydrostat and walk away from. And my hydrofogger is fed from a header tank via siphonic effect, so no pumps or mucking about, just a little pipe, and providing the header tank doesn't run out, it does its own thing, and I don't need to get involved. All I need to do is top the header tank up. I did look into it. I looked into air conditioning, I looked into swamp coolers, and I ended up with the hydrofogger. That's the way I went. Good, bad or indifferent, that's how it happened. Where are we? Somebody loves palm trees. I don't know how that got in there. Oh dear. Where is everyone from? Well, that could be a long list, couldn't it? Roger. Did Roger say what time it is there? It looks pitch black. Well, when I started, I didn't have the lights on because it was still dusk, I will call it, and the camera could still film in that light. But after a while, it got to the point where, you know, I was nothing more than a silhouette, so I turned the lights on. But the time here is currently 10 to 5, whatever that is, 16:50. Hello, Martin's bribing people to be his friend now. Oh God, things that go on in chat. It's noon here. Well, good for you. At 10 to 5, I should be thinking about getting something to eat and filling my wine glass up because it's getting low. Is Queen Anne still breathing? Yes, she is, I believe. I will have a look. Where is Queen Anne? Is she a long way away? Not too far away that I can't get at, but I need to move a couple of things. Now, Queen Anne was ripped in half unceremoniously, and what looked like the worst half was binned. But because it was on a mount, so the other half of the plant was here, doing that, blooms, which were quite badly distorted, yeah. But this end was left. And this end was left because it has 1, 2, 3, 4 new growths. Yeah? And it's been treated again. Now, if the original hypothesis was that it had a virus, then the treatment's going to do absolutely nothing, and these growths will either fail or produce manky leaves and or not bloom or whatever. But at the moment, if that's supposed to be a virus plant, given that it's producing a growth on its oldest pseudo-bulb and 3 growths from the latest one, what do you think? But yes, it's still with me, and while it's growing like that, it's staying. But we do act cautiously, and we don't use water that I've used to water that one that might go back in my watering bowl to put on other plants. It gets separate from others so that it doesn't touch them physically, and it gets watered separately just in case. That's all I can say. But I think with the amount of growth that that's pushing up, the virus is looking iffy. But time will tell. In theory, having just hacked half the plant off, yeah, if it was virused, it would be going downhill, not uphill. We shall see. We shall see. Right, where am I? What's going on over here? I'm going to have to stop soon. Nice to see this. Oh, it's Karina. Hi. Anne is holding on. Yes, she is. People from Italy. How are your Masdevallias doing? Any spikes yet? Well, the one bloom I had finally killed over not that many days ago, and nothing else is in spike. But one of my Masdevallias is going into the next set of project plants, and it's this one. That is a cool to cold grower. And looking at the side of the plant I'm looking at, I can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, turn it round, 8, 9. There's about 10 new growths on that plant. It's growing like a weed, and it took off when I put it in the sphagnum moss. Yeah? It's also growing better since I shut those little computer fans down, one of which was blowing straight on this plant to try and keep it cool. It's probably going to slow up a bit in the summer, but the number of new growths on there is phenomenal, and they're all maturing into lovely clean leaves. Is that big enough to bloom? Of course it flipping is. Well, get on and do it then. This had a bloom on it, singular, one, as in not many, one, when I got it, and it hasn't bloomed since. I know what it's going to get if I don't see some blooms in relatively early spring, or at least some spikes starting. It's going to come off that lower shelf and go on a high shelf. Having had a Masdevallia grower give a talk that does his own hybrids and stuff, what I would call a specialist, that's Masdevallia ignea. He changed his mind and threw away his books at the point in the wild he found this growing in a field. High up, yes, so thin air, cool temperatures, it was in full sun and it was blooming its head off. So since then he took some of his shade off and got some more light in there, and all of his plants just burst into bloom. So again, it's books, isn't it? Oh, these need high shade. Yeah. If I start on about books, I shall end up getting a flipping YouTube strike. I'm not the person who likes books the best, let's put it that way. Does Hannah know her dad is doing live vids? Does it increase your cool points? If Hannah's actually left a comment, I'll be well impressed. I did mention on the phone that I might be doing a live broadcast. I can't see anything from Hannah. The thing is, although she grows her own orchids, she doesn't watch my videos simply because in a couple of days' time she'll be here. She'll be standing here looking at them and talking about them with me. She sees it for real. So she doesn't see the need to watch the videos, which I perfectly understand. Do you hate your air plants still? No, I tolerate them. Because I don't really have to look after them, if you know what I mean. They just sit there, and when I remember, I chuck them in a bowl of water and give them a drink. And sometimes that water's got some feed in it. They don't ever get thrown in high feed. They get thrown in low feed or plain water. What else? I do believe we're back again. I love that comment. Are you frozen or thinking? If I was thinking, you'd hear it. It goes brr, ding boing, brr, ding boing. I presume it's back. Somebody just commented that it seems to happen around 13 to 15 minutes. This is true. There are lots of blogs, moans and complaints on the internet about OBS Studio locking up after a certain amount of time. The response is that the load builds and builds to the point where it can't cope. Now I'm hoping my new cable's going to get round that. I've got no guarantee. If it doesn't fix it, then I will change the software that I'm using. But the trouble is, this is the best. Well, it's the best that's free anyway, let's put it that way. Right, right, what's happening on the comments here? I'm losing track again. I'm going to stop soon anyway because I'm getting hungry. Right, I think Anne will make a full recovery. Well, there's a positive note. We shall see. I'm willing to give it a go because I love the blooms. Has it gone again? No. It's struggling. I can see it's struggling. I keep getting the little worry thing that goes round and round saying I'm not quite keeping up with you. Right, where are we? Back again, back again. Orchids with coffee. No, not this time of day. You need coffee, I need more wine. I need food more than anything. So I'm just trying to catch up with the comments before this flipping thing freezes again. Alright, bye Laura. You watch the rest later. It will take a while before YouTube posts this as oh god, my mouth won't work. Posts this as a normal video, but it will get there. Where are we? Right, I think we're nearly up to speed with the comments. Yes, I think we are now. How are your pings doing in winter? They just hang in there. Mexican pinguinculars, if they get below a certain temperature, they will shut down as a carnivorous plant and revert to a normal plant, and then they'll grow some new leaves when the better weather comes. Mine just hang in there so they don't shut down. How is rhodostictum? I've shown that one. Right. I think I'm up to speed now with the comments. Oh, would you believe it? Now it's going to rain. Anything else you want to throw at me? Right. I'm going to thank everybody now. I've been on about an hour, minus breaks, which I could do without. How many videos this is going to be, I haven't got a clue. But I'm pleased everybody can join me, and you've had a chat amongst yourselves in some cases, so that's good. That's what community is all about. Whether this becomes a regular event as a Sunday chat, I don't know. I've got that in mind. You can voice your opinions. You can do normal comments on this video once it posts, but it'll take a while to process this an hour long. I doubt if it'll be on YouTube for about 2 hours before it appears as a normal video. So yeah, I think I'll leave it at that for now. That's been a long time. This is nearly empty. Tummy's rumbling, that you can't hear, luckily, because it's raining. And I'll think about doing it as a regular thing, or perhaps every other one, maybe something like that. But there are quite a few people now doing regular live broadcasts. And I think it's because it's quite easy to do on a decent phone, which I haven't got. So bye for now. Thank you very much for everybody that's joined in. I hope you've enjoyed it. I may have missed some questions. Once this posts, I will go through all the comments and see if there's anything I missed. And if I have, I'll do them separately. You know, it does go at a fair old speed. So thanks for being here. And yeah, I think one of the breaks you missed Elvis. He came and said hello, but unfortunately I think that was in one of those pause moments. So I'm going to have to stop that. Right, bye everyone. Thanks for joining in, and I will see you next time. Now all I've got to do is work out how to stop it as usual. Stop streaming looks like a good thing to click on.